Welcome to the final days. Today is January 26, 2022. Today we're going to see some fascinating FAA footage of the Moon projector being off by more than 2,000 miles. We will also see some unique oddities and impossibilities of the Moon and other celestial bodies in our skies. Most of the FAA images you are about to see were taken from the cameras just today, so they're very, very recent. As of this morning, January 26, we had a 37% waning crescent moon. This means that the illuminated portion of the moon is getting smaller each day, and right now it's only covering 37% of the entire sphere of the moon, or the circular portion we can see. These images from the south-facing FAA weather camera located in Toxic Bay, Alaska, show a full moon and not a 37% crescent moon, even though they were taken just today. However, if we take a closer look at these images, what we see is actually a projection of the moon and not the actual moon. This always happens when the moon is being eclipsed by something. The moon projector cannot project a crescent, as we've seen in thousands of these photos. We can see a faint reflection of the bell-shaped projector that we've seen in countless numbers of these images. This projector is always creating a circular glare pointing in the direction of the moon. Now there's another one for the sun, and it points in the direction of the sun. Today we're focusing on the moon. The arrows help to point out the reflection of the bell-shaped projector. Now remember, this is a reflection of the projector and not the actual equipment. As you can see in the last few frames of this footage, once the projector has passed and the eclipse is over, we can then see the actual moon and its crescent shape. And here I've made an enlargement of the crescent-shaped moon near the end of this footage. All of the images of the moon from the Alaskan FAA weather cameras show the same projection of a full moon today, this morning. But for time's sake, I've just selected a few. We're not going to go through thousands of pictures. This one happens to be from Portage Creek, Alaska. And here's the moon from Wasilla, Alaska. Once again, it looks like a full moon. And we see the same thing in Wales, Alaska. Here we see the reflection of the bell-shaped projector again, projecting a circular glare in the direction of the moon to hide an eclipse. Once the projector is passed, the moon then resumes its actual crescent shape again. Here's some amazing footage of the projected moon from the south-facing Tutuliak, Alaska camera. In the 13th frame of this footage, the projection goes into a star pattern. The reason this is happening is because this camera is viewing the projection of the moon at this frame at a severe angle. Notice that the very next frame, the projector stops and we see the normal crescent-shaped moon. These frames are all 10 minutes apart, so the moon goes from this to this in only 10 minutes. And 10 minutes later, it goes from this to this. These older images from Portage Glacier, Alaska show a more extreme example of what we just saw, the moon projector from a severe angle. Notice that the star-shaped glare remains at a diagonal as we go through this footage. In less populated areas of the world, fewer projectors are used. So this causes the image of the moon to become skewed when looking at the projection from an angle, such as this camera does. And we're looking at the projection of the moon from an angle, causing it to appear very contorted. Look at these images carefully, and I will show you exactly what's happening. Here is a square piece of paper that I cut with a pair of scissors. Notice that it appears square. However, if we look at the square piece of paper from an angle, it's no longer square, but instead it is shaped like a stretched diamond, just like this projected image of the moon. The camera isn't looking straight on at the projected image of the moon. Instead, it's looking from an angle so that the moon is shaped like the construction paper we just saw when held at an angle. Here is some even more amazing footage of the moon from the southeast facing weather camera in Heber Valley, Utah. I wish I had gotten to this footage sooner, but by the time I got to the camera, all earlier footage had been removed because these cameras only show 6 hours of images. Here we see both the projection of the moon about 2,000 miles off from the actual crescent-shaped moon. The circular glare is supposed to replace the moon or go over top of it, but here we see both the projection and the actual moon next to each other, looking about 2,000 miles apart. Normally, images like this are quickly removed from these FAA cameras. I only get what they miss. The moon from the Heidelberg, Alaska camera shows the same full moon when it's supposed to be a 37% crescent. There is definitely an eclipse going on here because the diameter of the circular glare keeps changing. There are two things that the moon projector cannot do, and one is projecting a crescent-shaped moon, and two, maintaining a consistent diameter when an eclipse is in progress. So in just an hour and a half, the moon appears to go from this to this. Now I think we're all smart enough to know that the moon just doesn't normally change sizes like this in the sky. But we see this all the time with the sun projector as well during the day. I always love showing this older footage of the moon from Moose Pass, Alaska. In the third frame, we can see the shape of the light-emitting equipment that creates the circular glare. I can only guess that the projector is somehow malfunctioning in this footage. These are all signs that we are living in the very, very last days. In the Bible's book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25, Jesus tells us that we will see signs in the sky when the end is near. Untold trillions are spent to hide what is coming, using technology many decades ahead of what you or I are allowed to know about. The magnetic effects of celestial bodies in close proximity to our Earth are causing tectonic plate disturbances and a very sharp rise in volcanic activity. The magnetic effects of close celestial bodies has caused the Earth's molten core to increase in both size and temperature. The destruction brought on by this inbound planetary system is only part of God's wrath upon a world full of sin and abomination. These effects are all described in the Bible's book of Revelation, the very last book in the Bible, describing the end of all things, when God's wrath is poured out upon this wicked world. This time of wrath will also include famine, inflation, and many different types of plagues. as we're beginning to see already. Many won't make it. The good news about all this is that faithful believers in Christ are not appointed to God's wrath, just like the Israelites back in the book of Exodus when they were captives in Egypt. None of the plagues fell upon God's people, the Israelites. We are not appointed to God's wrath, judgments, plagues, as stated repeatedly throughout the Bible. We have God's promise on this. The New King James Version of Luke chapter 21 verse 36 reads, "Watch therefore and pray always that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass." Jesus is referring to God's wrath, his judgments, often referred to as the Great Tribulation. He is saying that those who are counted worthy will escape all of God's wrath. To be counted worthy, we must be living in holiness. A link in the description box below discusses what holiness is and how to achieve it. Please read Psalm 91 to learn how God promises to protect those who are living in holiness from his wrath. When you look into the mirror, you are only seeing a temporary body that your eternal spirit is temporarily inhabiting. The real you is an eternal spirit, not that temporary body that you see in the mirror. Your eternal spirit has been sent here to this earth on a temporary journey. The only reason you are here on this earth is to choose of your own free will to love, trust, and follow Jesus Christ, and to live your temporary life according to that love, the 10 Commandments, and the teachings of Jesus Christ. God has given you complete free will to decide where your spirit will spend eternity after you leave this earth, heaven or hell. There's not much time left to decide where your eternal spirit will spend eternity. Screens at the end of this video will instruct you on how to accept Christ into your life so that you can know with absolute certainty where your spirit will go when you leave this earth. Many people mistakenly believe that all good people automatically go to heaven. This is a lie from the demonic realm. Heaven is only available to those who have accepted Jesus into their hearts and lives. And people ask, why can't a good person go to heaven? Bill Weiss gives a great analogy of why simply being good does not get a person into heaven. Let's say you walk up to the door of the finest house in the country. You knock on the door. When the owner opens the door, you say, "I'm a good person. I'm moving in." The house owner says, "I don't know you. Go away." Well, it's the same with heaven. You can't just live your whole life without trusting in Christ, without believing in him, reading his word, or praying, and then one day go knocking on heaven's door expecting to enter. Living for Christ is much more than holding an opinion that he is God and that he died on a cross. Even the demonic realm believes that. You must be in communication with Jesus through prayer and daily Bible reading. You must make him the biggest part of your life. The next few screens will tell you how to accept Christ into your life. Thanks for watching this video.